In dealing with debt, Ted Rossman, the chief industry analyst at creditcards.com, is here to help. Ted, what did you find in your recent survey about financial advice?
First of all, we found that not enough people are getting financial advice. We found that a third of U.S. adults are not getting any financial advice whatsoever. So that's a big problem. Among those who are getting financial tips, the most common resource is your family and friends. And I would beware of some of the advice that you get there. Second most common among young adults is social media. And there's definitely reason to be cautious about a lot of what you see on there.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because if your parents had great financial skills, chances are you will too. But that does not happen for everybody.
I definitely would take a lot of what I hear from friends, family, social media influencers. I'd take a lot of that with a healthy grain of salt. There may be some good advice in there, and I do like the fact that we're having these conversations. So that's a silver lining, but you've got to be careful. I think the best approach is to really put a lot of your own thought into this. So what are your money values? What are your money goals? Where have you been? Where do you want to go with money? I think you really need to ask yourself and your spouse these questions because personal finance is very individual. It's not a one-size-fits-all issue. Even if you have a financial advisor, you still need to work through much of this on your own. So I would use that as a starting point. There's no one medium that's always going to be good or always going to be bad for financial advice. You've got to put in the work and take the ownership for applying your personal situation.
What can people do about getting an early education about money?
Only about half of states mandate a personal finance course for high schoolers. And while most states mandate that personal finance is baked somewhere into the K-12 curriculum, it's often very vague and it's not enough. And most of us are not getting enough financial advice at home either. When we ask people who their biggest financial teacher is, the most common answer was themselves. And the School of Hard Knocks can be a tough teacher. I think it's really important to try to learn as much as you can and really soak up a number of different perspectives, blend them with your life experience, and really come up with your own financial plan.
What's your advice for getting solid information about debt?
Our survey revealed that the most trusted financial resource is a financial advisor, followed closely by your bank. In both cases, about 7 in 10 Americans trust the financial advice that they're getting from these professionals. And rightfully so, most of them are very well qualified. There are still some bad apples, so you got to be careful. And what works for one person may not necessarily work for another. I would say that not everybody necessarily needs a financial advisor. It's more likely if you have a higher net worth or a more complex financial situation. A lot of people these days are relying on robo-advisors. I think nonprofit credit counseling is a great approach if you have a lot of credit card debt. I'll say maybe $5,000 or more. Reach out to a nonprofit credit counseling agency like Money Management International or Green Path. They can help you out with very low-cost, helpful advice. They can consolidate your debts. They can negotiate a lower interest rate. It's really great to get help, but you've got to be careful about what help you're seeking. So maybe it's not your cousin or your brother-in-law's hot stock tip, but rather, how can we be informed about taking in a variety of different perspectives? Maybe it's books, podcasts, magazines, newspapers, websites. You can incorporate social media and friends and family into that, but take in a variety of perspectives.
For more Business First AM, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.